Hey everyone, in this video, we're reacting to the Aeromancer class coming to Lost Ark in Korea. We watched the preview video, and we take a look at some of ATK's thoughts about it as well. All these are taken from my stream over on Twitch. I hope you guys enjoy.
녀석, 이것도 정신 수양이라 했거늘.
그러지 말고 영감님 이야기 좀 해줘봐. 저번부터 궁금해.
해줘봐.
영감님이 살았다던 곳은 대체 어떤 곳이야? 거기에는 영감님처럼 강한 자들도 많이 있는 거야?
That's the Aeromancer, right? I'm pretty sure. It's pretty cool that they chose to include Zinnervale like that. I guess we should have known.
한심한 녀석. 너는 한 주먹거리도 되지 않을 게다.
뭐라고?
뭐라고?
우리 요즈들은 환영의 힘을 다룰 뿐만 아니라
Uh-oh.
자연과 공명하여 기상을 조종할 수도 있지.
뭐야? 그럼 도술이라도 부리는 거야?
What is this music?
환영은 그렇게 단순한 것이 아니라.
Whoa! Whoa, look, you can see their bars building. I like that emote on number 6. This person is definitely an RPer. I need to change my things to have all the emotes that use number 2 as my songs. This is their identity gauge. It's a pretty long cooldown. 16 seconds, 14 seconds.
햇빛은 강렬한 빗줄기가 되어 쏟아지.
Oh, damn! 24 seconds. Did you hear the sound on that thing? Wait, that bar filled up really fast. Okay, let's let it play first.
기분 좋은 바람은
Tripods? What is this, attack movement speed? This is what I'm assuming. That's usually what this stuff looks like. 6 seconds. This is what? 6 seconds. This is some like explosion. This kind of looks like Last Whisper.
성난 태풍이
There's a buff, 3
상대를
seconds.
제압하지.
우와, 저 구름은 뭐야? 마른 하늘에 날벼락까지?
Whoa.
기상술사다. 고유한 특성인 여우비를 활용해 아군을 보호하고.
That's a I don't know what that is. Maybe increased damage or something?
꽤나 든든한 걸?
거대한
This is their other awakening.
제압하기도 하지.
Oh, shoot! That's kind of cool.
그래봤자 내 창술 앞에서는
That's so dangerous. What if somebody's walking behind him? Okay? You can't just do that.
보고 놀라지나 말거라. 기상술사가 얼마나 자신의 무기를 잘
That's, I think, that
다루는지
lightning sword
말이다.
dash that we saw in the initial teaser. Wait, I want to see if that was 2 skills.
기상술사가 얼마나
So that's the D.
자신의 무기를 잘 다루는지 말이다.
So you see how these skills, like the Q, W, E, A, and F, are all like a particular color? Oh, the identity is different. The umbrella is open. What if, when you fill your identity gauge, you can like open your umbrella and it does more stuff? Is that even true? Was the umbrella open before? Yeah, it's closed here. You see how her umbrella is closed here?
얼마나 자신의
And then she just like popped this and the umbrella opened. When her umbrella opens, does it rain? Is that what happens? So I was gonna say, all these skills with these colors, maybe they're more like umbrella attack skills?
기상술사가 얼마나 자신의 무기를 잘 다루는지 말이다.
Yeah, like some use like the umbrella, some use a sword. And then the other colored skills are maybe like more weather skills? She has a counter! She's like Glavier. You see that? That's a counter. That's pretty awesome.
공격을 튕겨냈어.
똑바로 보거라. 우산
Oh, this looks like crit resistance. So she's yet another synergy with crit debuff. 10%? 10% crit debuff?
속에 숨겨둔 예리한 칼날이 순식간에 적을 베어내는 모습을.
Oh yeah, it still has that. That's gonna be so impossible to use in a fight. I wondered if that was just like a cinematic thing when they showed it, but it looks like it actually does that screen shatter thing. Which is kind of cool.
말이 길어졌군. 벌써 시간이 이렇게 되었구나.
영감, 이야기하다 말고 어디 가려는 건데?
The only DPS I'm excited to play GG game's gonna die in an A before she comes.
그리고
Yeah.
500년 만에
Yeah, who
뜬
knows?
별을 맞이할 준비를 하자꾸나.
아, 좋아. 그 녀석 만나게 되면 한판 붙어봐야겠어.
I wonder what Shandy and Zinnerville are talking about here.
아이봐, 영감 같이 가.
Maybe Shandy is teaching Zinnerville about his people, because Shandy is also like a specialist or whatever, right? Let's go back and look at some of this stuff. So this is how it goes for all Lost Ark classes. Okay, I can tell you how Lost Ark classes are made. They have one class engraving that lets them do one part of the kit, and they have a second class engraving that lets them do a second part of the kit. Or they can have, like, that's the alpha variation, okay? The beta variation is that they have one class engraving that makes them only able to do one part of their kit, and they have a second class engraving that lets them play with most of their kit, okay? It's likely, my guess is that one of their class engravings is gonna buff. So you see how this skill bar only has like 2 of those like turquoise skills? See, only on the Q and the S here, the bar's in the way. But there's probably one class engraving that lets them focus on more of like the weather skills or stuff like that. And then there's probably going to be another class engraving that more focuses on the umbrella skills, which we'll see later in the video. You see, like, there's like the gray skills, the blue skills, and then the yellow skills. So like gray is like wind. So like she just used all 3 of them actually.
술이라도 부리면
그렇게 단순한
So she's gonna use a W, and that's gonna like leave wind
것이
behind,
아니다.
right? So there's like this wind tornado, and then E is gonna put the water pool down,
빛은
and then R is like the solar
강렬한
one,
빛줄기가 되어
obviously.
쏟아지.
But I'm assuming the identity is gonna be the same for both when she pops the umbrella.
기분 좋은 바람은 때론 성난 태풍이 되어 상대를
Yeah, same thing
제압하지.
here. Like a bunch of weather skills here.
저 구름은 뭐야? 마른 하늘에 날벼락까지?
그게 바로 기상술사다.
Yeah, I think she's gonna use her identity here. I think you can just press the button.
고유한 특성이
So now the umbrella icon is expanded, but I don't know what it specifically does. So it gave a buff. This buff, I'm assuming, lasts as long as your identity is popped.
여우비를 활용해 아군을 보호하고
조그만 주제에 꽤나 든든한 걸.
거대한 해일을 만들어 적을 제압하기도 하지.
Oh, did I use up her identity?
거대한
Oh,
해일을
no, it's just
만들어
ticking down.
적을 제압하기도 하지.
Seems like it's kind of a fast cycling class. Like the gauge, it kind of expends really quickly, and you kind of build it pretty quickly. Probably, if it's worth it to do, it's going to be a spec primary stat class in terms of just like making sure you can
보고
just
놀라지나
keep
말거라.
popping your umbrella. So you see how this skill bar is now mostly like the physical umbrella skills. You know, there's like some wind stuff here, but it's mostly the umbrella
기상술사가
skills.
얼마나 자신의 무기를 잘
Which, if I were to
다루는지 말이야.
guess, is gonna have something to do with their class identity. Here's pretty cool. They have like the counter. Let's see which button that is. Oh, you can just hold it down. So her R skill is what that thing is, and you can actually just hold it down?
봤어, 영감? 저 녀석 방금 공격을 튕겨냈어.
I don't know. There could be so many different ways that that works.
우산 속에 숨겨둔 예리한 칼날.
Wait, was that animation?
바로 먹어라. 우산 속에
Did you see that animation? Look at this animation when she does her W or whatever. Or
똑바로
E.
먹어라. 우산 속에 숨겨둔 예리한 칼날.
That's pretty cute.
적을 베어내는 모습을.
It's kind of cool. She's got like the sword in her umbrella. That's pretty cool. Let's watch ATK's video on it and see if it's there's anything more about it.
The Yasa he said was he controls the natural elements as well,
Okay.
but this natural power is not very simple to control. Nah, that's nothing, man. Considering my Glavier skills. That's right, Gramps, right? This fucking idiot. Aeromancer is a master of weapons too. She has a parry.
That's what I said.
She has a crit synergy.
That's what I said.
Okay, so it looks like there's green skills, there's blue skills, there's a red skill. I see it here, right?
That's
And
what
then
I said.
notice there's only blues. There's a mint color skills only here.
Uh-huh.
So if you look at here, I'm assuming that you have a melee style DPS build, and then I guess you have a synergy style, like a hybrid build. Because if you look at here,
Yeah.
So if you look at here, right?
I think you're right,
Watch, so
EZK.
this thing filled up. The umbrella filled up.
Yep. And then
if
the
you-
open
well, then
umbrella.
You notice the umbrella like opens up, and then it's like a.
8200 IQ.
Basically, when you activate your
Uh-huh.
identity,
The 50%
you just
attack?
have an aura around you, and this.
Tell me what it
particular
said.
aura, that you have the aura up, so.
Yeah, go back to where it
since
said.
you
Yeah,
have
there it
up,
is.
You're gonna give 15% extra defense, magic and
Defense.
physical defense to your teammates. So the identity gauge is pretty simple, I think.
That's all? That's all it's gonna do is give defense? What? There's no way. There's no way that that's all that does. There's no way. That's so underwhelming. There's no way. Okay, there's probably more. I would be so surprised if that was the case.
It's pretty simple. Her identity gauge is literally just turning it on and give additional defense to your teammates. That's it. But if you also look into, she also has like so many range skills too, because this R skill, is 30-second cooldown.
Yeah, that's a big
Other than
cooldown,
that,
man.
You know, that A skill was a thing
Maybe
that
because of the
I-
cooldown. I could see it either you go, well, if the gauge only gives you physical and magical defense, you might go swiftness instead to just like build your gauge as fast or like lower the cooldowns as much as possible. Defense to your teammates, yeah.
And then the W skill was that charge skill. So I'm assuming she's like a swordman class too, because like this.
Yes.
I'm assuming this is possible if you have like a class engraving. I think.
Yeah, one of the class
So you can
engravings.
pair it.
Uh-huh.
And also, so now it's important if it's a consistent synergy giver or a burst synergy giver. So let's see.
Good question.
So her W skill, boom. So this is
12-second cooldown for a like a 7-second crit debuff. It's okay. Maybe with swiftness, you can actually make that 100% uptime.
the synergy skill, right? 14-second for lasting 7 seconds. Well, or 8 seconds actually.
Yeah,
8
it's-
seconds
it's about
versus
8.
13. If she goes high swiftness,
14
assuming,
cooldown in
she
8
can
seconds.
keep that up 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Plus, there might be another skill that gives you crit synergy. So I think she's a crit synergy with
Mm-hmm.
Maelstrom. Wait, so if you have Maelstrom, you have a War Dancer for Winds.
So he's talking about the attack
and then
speed,
you have the Aeromancer.
movement speed
You
buff.
don't need any Swift. Basically, Deathblade is a Kingmaker kind of, because her synergy
True.
is so good. She
Yeah.
also does a lot of damage at the same time, but basically, she makes strikers even stronger.
Yeah.
She makes Deadeyes even stronger, etc. But I think
Yeah, the Deathblade synergy is so not only does Deathblade give you Maelstrom, which is huge attack speed and movement speed, but also their synergy increases your positional damage. I think it's 12% or something like that, something very big. And obviously, if you have something like Striker or something with the crit synergy, those two work very well together. So that's
this
Deathblade.
particular class, Aeromancer, will really work really well with Hitmaster classes like Sorceresses. Sorceresses
Yeah.
scale
Sorcerers get almost nothing. Well, they get like 3% damage increase from Deathblade synergy. Whereas like if you get like crit synergy, sorceresses use really well. They really like that. And then like attack speed, movement speed is also like kind of nice for sorceresses.
so much if you have crit synergy. Sorceresses love crit synergy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
what
imagine
that's what I
you have a
said.
Gunslinger or a Deadeye plus Aeromancer, and then you have a Sork. That's a really good team. To me, from this point
The
of
Casta
view, for
squad.
this specific build, this build exists as like a meta. She would be a Kingmaker class for Hitmasters, I think. There is no real Kingmaker for Hitmasters. Arcana, true, Arcana. Holy shit, we forgot about Arcana. Because Arcana also gives crit synergy. She would work really well with Arcana, I think. Who's slow? Like Destroyer, kind of, because she has the Maelstrom like buff.
Sure.
Yeah, Artillerist.
But Destroyer is
needs that
positional too,
crit
right? Head attack.
Plus attack and movement speed, and also he's a Hitmaster.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we all love Blade and War Dancer is because of their synergy. Because they're Maelstrom and Winds of Whisper, because it gives you attack speed and movement
Yeah.
speed. Now we have another class that gives attack speed and movement speed that gives you crit synergy.
I wonder how fast the attack speed, movement speed synergy buff from Aeromancer is able to be used. Again, two suspicions, right? One is you go primary stat spec, which if really the only thing her identity skill does is the damage reduction, maybe you don't do that. Maybe you just do swiftness. Lots of swiftness, which means uptimes on your buffs and your synergies are improved. The cooldowns are improved as well. Because if you notice, if you look on her bar right now, most everything here is like 30 seconds long. Now, obviously, we don't know what stats or gems or whatever this character has, but that's pretty long. I think in Lost Ark, if your cooldowns are like 24 seconds or like more than 20 seconds, it's pretty long. They're pretty long cooldowns, especially in endgame. If she goes something like swiftness, then maybe the uptime is going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to look into it when it comes out, but it feels like they're filling up the gap of the synergy that we're missing.
Here's another thing to think about. Depending on what scales off of specialization too, that might make one build more meta than the other. Again, just completely guessing on this stuff. But there might be a world where like weather attacks are scaled with specialization, and then like the physical attacks aren't really. In which case, like if you went for like a specialization build, you would go the weather stuff. But then if it's true that you would prefer swiftness because of your uptime and your synergies and your buffs and stuff like that, maybe you wouldn't go with the weather build. Maybe you go with the physical build, so you maybe would actually be melee. Because, like, again, this is all a bunch of assumptions, but if you want to go for buff uptime and you did swiftness, but then, like, maybe, like, the swiftness prefers, like, the physical skills a little bit more, right? There's a world that exists that could happen, in which case you would be playing the class melee. But maybe you could do that with the spell class too. We don't know.
So
we don't know right now.
You're gonna get a free Sal Vern character, which is about 1340. And for sharpshooter, I'm pretty sure they're gonna give us another Hyper Express. I'm gonna take a look at it because what they do
for sharpshooter
usually do.
Oh, for like updating class,
right? You sign up.
Look at their webpage. The Korea webpage seems so shiny. Like the presentation.
Sometimes they go.
Seems so like
that so many people
colorful
came to the game. We'll give you one more Hyper Express. This happened every single time. I'm pretty sure they're gonna give one more.
I like the pink outfit. This yellow outfit. I like the pink version of the Aeromancer a little bit more. The yellow one, you know.
Sharpshooter Hyper Express, Deadeye or Sharpshooter Hyper Express, and then Story Express for the other character that's left over. Bye bye everyone.
Bye bye. Wait, hold on. We gotta go back. I want to see what the cooldown on the attack speed, movement speed thing was.
환영은 그렇게 단순한 것이 아니다. 햇빛은 강렬한 빗줄기가 되어 쏟아지.
The sound is cool. This is like 12-second cooldown. Oh, that didn't put it up. Oh, that is pretty bad. That is pretty bad. So it's a 6-second attack movement speed buff on like a 24-ish second cooldown. Just as a comparison, if you look here, Maelstrom is actually quite similar. So when you have the Dark Order buff, so you'll say Dark Order buff, 70% movement speed, and then 22.4% attack speed. And it lasts 6 seconds. So the timing is about the same. But the thing that you have to remember, especially if you're playing Remaining Energy, one of the biggest things about Remaining Energy Deathblade is that every time you pop your identity, you refresh your cooldowns on a lot of these things, right? And on Remaining Energy, you're refreshing your cooldown a lot. So the uptime is not actually 6 seconds up, like 24 whatever seconds down, right? So actually I can show you better in Trixian. Let's go to Trixian. Basically, the question is, will that be the case for Aeromancer? Like, will there be a way for them to refresh the cooldown of their attack speed, movement speed buff? Or are they going to have to get a ton of swiftness? So they could go the War Dancer route, right? So what the War Dancer does, even though the cooldowns on their buffs are really long, they get the tripods that let them reduce the cooldown of that stuff, and then they do swiftness, and then they do Dominion on top of that. They do the Relic Set Dominion. So if you see, like, I use my Maelstrom, and it's 6 seconds, and it's basically like almost same exact cooldown, right? Like 25 seconds. But now it's on cooldown. If I pop and I slam, see, it cuts it by a lot. There's only like 1 second left, and then I use it again. So in actuality, like, Maelstrom is up a lot. And I think this is one of the biggest differences between Surge and Remaining Energy Deathblades that people miss out on, is that even though the damage profiles are different, one of the reasons why Remaining Energy is so good is because they're constantly using Maelstrom. As opposed to Surge, like, you can't constantly pop your identity because you're holding your identity to get the biggest slam possible. You need to build up your stacks. So you only really use Maelstrom like pretty much once every like 20, 25 seconds or so. Pretty much the cooldown, right? But like on a normal Remaining Energy rotation, like I'll slam, so I use Maelstrom once, right? I'll slam. Now the attack speed, movement speed buff just finished. In 5 seconds, I'm gonna have it up again. So really, it's almost like there's like 5-second downtime in between when your attack speed, movement speed buff falls down and when you put it up again. You see that? And then as I get more specialization, the cooldown reduction by popping your 3-orb death trance or 3-orb trance gets improved. So for example, I think late game you go like 1800 of this stuff, right? I don't remember what the stat spread is, but let's say 1800 and 600 or something like that, right? Let's say that this is a stat spread. Okay, so right now I was like 4240. So this should improve my cooldown reduction a lot. It ends up being about the same. I guess the cut doesn't like change that much, but you get the point. It's still about 5-second cooldown, but it gets cut a lot. The cooldown gets cut a lot, basically. And because you're doing it so often, you gain a lot of benefit for that. Also, one of the nice things is, because the benefit here is in the tripod, so in the Aeromancer video, this is part of a tripod, that means you can level it up, which is really big. Because that's why the Maelstrom buff is also really good. It's because you level the tripod up, and so it increases that movement speed and attack speed benefit. They probably made that video with wax stats and gems. Yeah, exactly. So we don't even know if they had like any stats or gems really put in. It could be that that's like a 30-second cooldown thing, and they had like level 7 gem. I think that's what my Deathblade has for Maelstrom. Yeah, level 7 cooldown gem, which makes it about like, you know, whatever it is. But that was kind of cool. Aeromancer's looking kind of cool. I want to know more about their identity. I hope their identity is more colorful than just like Mecha Rain, and then it just gives you attack and magic damage reduction. I feel like it has to, right? Like in the earlier video when it was raining, it looked like it was putting a debuff on the enemies and stuff like that. So I guess we'll have to see.